The galaxy was filled with countless worlds, and among them was the shining blue-green planet of Valora, home to the proud and advanced Valoran people. Their civilization stretched across 5 star systems, ruled by a young and wise queen named Arisa. Her people respected her not only for her strength, but also for her gentle heart. She ruled from a floating palace that circled the capital city in the upper sky, its towers made of crystal and metal that caught the light of 2 suns. But that day, peace did not last. A sudden tremor shook the royal skyship, and alarms began to echo through the long hallways. The Queen's guards ran to their stations, shouting reports about a nearby explosion in space. The Queen, calm yet alert, walked to the observation window. Her silver-blue eyes reflected the chaos outside. Strange, dark ships appeared on the edge of the planet's orbit. They had no markings, unknown raiders that attacked without warning or reason. The royal defense ships rushed to form a protective wall, but they were caught off guard. Energy blasts cut through the fleet, and the Queen's ship started losing power. She held onto a metal rail as her aide, Commander Talon, shouted, "Your Majesty, we must retreat to the escape chamber." But before they could act, one of the unknown ships locked its weapon on them. The Queen's heart raced as the explosion neared. At that same moment, far across the upper atmosphere, a human pilot named Ryan was flying his small repair shuttle. He had been working with a trade crew near the Valoran border, helping fix damaged satellites. His ship was old, built by human engineers decades ago and not meant for combat. But when his sensors picked up the distress call from the Queen's vessel, he knew he couldn't ignore it. Ryan looked out at the bright dots of light flickering on his display. He could see one large ship surrounded by enemy fire. His instincts took over. "That ship's not gonna last long," he whispered. "I can't just watch." He powered his shuttle toward the danger zone. His co-pilot, a small AI assistant named Mira, warned him that his shields wouldn't survive another hit. Ryan smiled faintly. "Then we'll just have to make sure we don't get hit." He moved through the chaos like a thread through a storm. Enemy fire flashed around him, but his small ship was quick. Using his old repair lasers, he overloaded one of the Raiders' engines, causing a bright burst that distracted the others. Inside the royal ship, the Queen's crew looked in disbelief. "A single human ship is interfering," Talon said. The Queen leaned forward, watching the small gray shuttle spin between enemy blasts. "A human? Out here?" she said softly. She had heard of humans, curious explorers from a small planet on the outer spiral of the galaxy. Some saw them as simple, short-lived beings, while others admired their courage. Ryan sent a direct message to the royal ship. "This is Human Shuttle 37 from Earth Command. I'm here to help you break through. Follow my signal." His voice was calm and steady. It made the Queen's heart pause for a moment. She had met many leaders and commanders, but none had sounded so unafraid in the middle of danger. Ryan flew in close, using his ship as a moving shield. The Queen's ship followed his guidance as he transmitted escape coordinates. Every time an enemy ship tried to target them, Ryan spun his shuttle to draw fire away. The Queen could see him through the window now, a small craft glowing against the dark space, moving like a silver bird against a storm. But the fight was not easy. Ryan's shuttle took several hits and warning lights filled his cockpit. Mira's voice trembled. "We can't take another blast, Ryan." He didn't answer. He was too focused. With one last trick, he ejected his emergency flare pack and programmed it to mimic a power core. The enemies followed the decoy while Ryan used the moment to push the Queen's ship into a safer orbit. "Now," he shouted, "activate your main drive and descend." The Queen's ship broke through the atmosphere, falling toward the safety of the planet's surface. But Ryan's shuttle had lost most of its power. His control panel went dark and the small craft started spinning out of control. The Queen, watching from her ship, saw his vessel drop like a falling star. "We must save him," she cried. But the crew couldn't locate him through the thick storm clouds. Hours later, when the Queen's ship landed on the royal landing pad, she rushed out with a team of search drones. Her advisors told her it was too dangerous for her to go personally, but she ignored them. She needed to know if the human who saved her was still alive. The search lasted through the night. Finally, one of the drones detected wreckage near the coastal forest. The Queen and her guards hurried there. The small shuttle lay broken, smoke rising from its side. And there, near the shattered cockpit, she found him, the human pilot, unconscious but alive. His face was calm, his uniform torn but still marked with the old Earth insignia. The Queen knelt beside him, touching his hand gently. For a strange reason, she felt something she couldn't explain, a warmth that wasn't just gratitude. This man had risked everything to save someone from another species, someone he didn't even know. "Take him to the healing chamber," she ordered softly. When Ryan woke up hours later, he found himself lying on a soft bed surrounded by glowing medical panels. The air was sweet and filled with the sound of quiet machines. He blinked, confused, until he saw a figure standing by the door. It was her, the same woman from the ship. Her silver eyes and gentle smile gave her an almost unreal grace. She wore a robe made of shining fabric that looked like woven light. "Welcome back," she said kindly. "You saved my people." "You saved me?" Ryan tried to sit up. "You're the Queen, right?" She nodded. "Queen Arisa of Valora. And you are the human who crossed the stars to protect a stranger?" Ryan gave a small laugh. "I just saw someone in trouble. I didn't think much." Arisa looked at him, her expression soft. "That's what makes it special. You didn't think of reward or safety. You just acted." She thanked him again and told him her people would repair his ship once he was ready. Ryan insisted he had to leave soon. His crew might be waiting for him. But before he left, the Queen gave him a silver pendant shaped like the twin suns of Valora. "Take this," she said. "If our paths ever cross again, this will remind us that courage can come from anywhere, even from a small world far away." Ryan smiled, touched by her words. "Then I'll keep it safe," he promised. When his ship was repaired, he left the planet quietly, refusing any reward. The Queen stood on the balcony, watching his shuttle rise into the star-filled sky. The wind carried his name softly as if the world itself remembered him. For years afterward, whenever Arisa looked at the night sky, she wondered where he had gone. Her advisors told her humans lived short lives, that it was unlikely she would ever see him again. But she didn't believe that. Somehow, deep in her heart, she felt their paths were not finished yet. Somewhere in the endless sea of stars, the human who once saved her still lived, and she knew that someday, no matter how far the distance or how many years passed, she would find him again. That silent promise stayed with her, glowing like a hidden light in the Queen's heart, marking the beginning of a story that the galaxy would one day remember forever. 20 long years had passed since that unforgettable day. The galaxy had changed, and so had the Queen of Valora. Queen Arisa now stood as one of the most powerful rulers in the outer systems. Her empire had grown stronger, her people wealthier, and her technology more advanced. But even with all her success, a quiet emptiness stayed in her heart. Every time she stood at her palace balcony and looked up at the twin suns, she thought of the small human ship that once dived through fire to save her life. The memory of that day was as clear as starlight. The sound of his voice, the courage in his tone, and the way he risked everything for someone he didn't even know. All of it stayed with her. The pendant she gave him, shaped like the twin suns, had become a symbol for her, too. She kept an identical one on her royal necklace, a quiet reminder of the human who changed her destiny. One calm evening, her most trusted aide, Commander Talon, approached her throne room. He was older now, his silver armor shining softly in the blue light of the palace. "Your Majesty," he said respectfully, "the council is ready to begin the discussion about the border treaty." But the Queen didn't answer right away. She was lost in thought, her gaze fixed on the stars through the high window. Talon sighed softly. "You are thinking about him again, aren't you?" Arisa looked at him, a faint smile on her face. "After all these years, you still notice." "Your Majesty," he said kindly, "it has been 2 decades. The human world is far away. Even if he is alive, how could we ever find him in the endless galaxy?" She looked down at the floor, then spoke in a quiet voice. "You think I have not tried?" She walked toward a tall crystal screen and activated a secret star map. 1,000 bright points appeared, each marked with data and flight paths. "For 20 years," she said, "I have sent explorers, historians, and even traders to gather old records of human movements. I told them it was for research, but it was not." Talon watched her with deep respect. "You searched for him?" "Yes," she said. "The human named Ryan. He came from a small world near the edge of the Milky Way, yet he flew across our skies like a hero from the old songs. He saved me when he had no reason to. Tell me, Talon, how can I forget someone like that?" The commander lowered his head. "You cannot, Your Majesty. But perhaps the stars do not wish for your paths to cross again. Arisa smiled sadly. Maybe. But I still hope. Later that night, when the palace lights dimmed, Arisa stood alone in her private observatory. The wide dome of glass opened to the night sky, where billions of stars shimmered like dust. She closed her eyes and remembered the last thing Ryan said before leaving. Then I'll keep it safe. Her fingers brushed against the twin sun pendant on her chest. I wonder if you still wear it, she whispered softly. Her empire was vast, filled with loyal subjects and countless admirers, yet no one understood her silence. To others, she was a perfect queen, strong, wise, and beautiful. But deep down, she was still the young woman who had once knelt beside a wounded human in a broken ship, feeling gratitude and something deeper than words. She often asked herself why she cared so much. Perhaps it was because Ryan represented something the galaxy had forgotten, pure courage without selfishness. Years passed, but her quiet search never stopped. The Queen used her science divisions to scan old records of human fleets. Most of them were lost or scattered, but then one day, her research officer, Dr. Enar, came to her with new data. Your Majesty, he said excitedly, we found something strange. Arisa turned to him at once. What is it? There is a mining colony near the outer belt zone. It is a human colony, small and far from the main trade routes. It seems one of their settlers once arrived on a damaged shuttle with parts matching your old rescue logs. Arisa's heart skipped a beat. A damaged shuttle. With human markings? Yes, Your Majesty, Dr. Enar confirmed. The design matches the old Earth model, the same kind used 20 years ago. For a moment, Arisa couldn't speak. The lights of the palace seemed to blur around her. Could it be him? Could Ryan have survived all this time, living quietly on some faraway colony? She walked to the window again, looking at the distant stars. Her voice was soft but filled with resolve. Prepare a small ship. I will travel there myself. The officers in the room froze. Your Majesty, you cannot go alone. That region is outside our secured border. I will not go as a queen, she said. I will go as a traveler. Within days, her royal cruiser departed quietly at night without the knowledge of her court. She wore a simple cloak and a travel suit instead of her crown and gown. Only Commander Talon and one pilot accompanied her. Their ship, the Lunaris, moved silently through the dark regions of space. The journey was long, over several days through warp tunnels and nebula storms. During the flight, Talon spoke gently. Your Majesty, forgive me for saying this, but what if he does not remember you? Arisa looked out the viewport. The stars reflected in her eyes like silver tears. Then at least I will see the man who once showed me what true courage is. When the Lunaris arrived in the outer belt zone, the stars looked colder and fewer. The system was rough and industrial, filled with mining stations and repair docks. Ships of many worlds floated slowly between asteroids, their lights flickering through the dust. The colony was not large, only a few hundred humans and machines working to harvest minerals. Their main base was built on a rocky moon called Kara 9. It was not beautiful, but it was alive with the sound of human work and laughter. Arisa's ship landed quietly on the outskirts of the colony. She stepped out wearing her traveler's cloak, her face hidden beneath a light hood. For the first time in years, she felt nervous. The air smelled of metal and heat. The ground trembled slightly from mining drills. She walked among the people, her glowing eyes hidden by a small visor device that made her look almost human. Everywhere she looked, she saw humans, strong, tired, and busy. They worked together, sharing tools and helping each other. She watched their kindness, their teamwork, and realized how much she had missed seeing them. And then she heard it. A calm voice, familiar and steady, coming from the other side of the dock. Careful with that line. If it snaps, we'll lose half the power grid again. She turned quickly. There he was, Ryan. He looked older, with a short beard and small lines near his eyes. But his expression was the same, focused, kind, and full of quiet strength. He was fixing a power generator with a few workers, giving gentle instructions and helping lift heavy panels himself. Her heart stopped for a moment. After 20 years, she had found him. She watched him for hours without speaking. He seemed unaware of her presence, busy helping the others. Every time someone asked for help, he smiled and said, "Don't worry, we'll fix it." That simple voice carried the same warmth she remembered from so long ago. Finally, When the work slowed down, Ryan walked toward a nearby water station to clean his hands. Arisa followed quietly. Her heart raced faster than it had in years. When he turned around, their eyes met for the first time in 2 decades. Ryan blinked, confused. Can I help you, miss?" Arisa froze for a second, unsure what to say. She had dreamed of this moment for years, but now words felt too small. "Yes," she said softly, hiding her true identity. "I just arrived here." "I was told you help new travelers," he smiled politely. "Yeah, I try to help where I can. Welcome to Kara 9, it's not much, but we do our best." His voice was still gentle, the same tone he used when he guided her ship to safety long ago. Arisa smiled beneath her hood. "You always help others, don't you?" Ryan shrugged. "It's what keeps this place running." As she watched him walk away, her eyes filled with emotion. She had found him at last, the human who had once saved her life. But now, she wondered, would he ever remember the queen he once rescued? She touched the pendant hidden under her cloak. The twin suns glimmered faintly as she whispered to herself, "Not yet. Not until the time is right." And for the first time in 20 years, Queen Arisa felt truly alive again. The next morning on Kara 9, the human colony woke to the soft hum of mining machines and the golden light of the nearby sun. Thin clouds of dust floated above the rocky surface, glowing in the early light. Workers started their day, repairing, digging, and checking the generators. Life here was simple, hard, but peaceful. Queen Arisa, still hidden under her traveler's cloak, walked quietly through the colony streets. Every sound, every face felt new to her. She had ruled over billions of people for years, yet here, among humans, everything felt strangely calm and real. She stopped near a group of children who were chasing a small robot. They laughed loudly as it rolled around them, trying to escape their playful hands. Arisa smiled softly. It reminded her of the children back home on Valora, though theirs lived among glass towers and shining skies. These children lived among rocks and dust, but their joy was just as bright. For the first time in many years, she felt free. No guards, no crown, no council. Just a traveler among humans. And somewhere out there was Ryan, the man she had searched for across the stars. She found him again near the main power station, working with his tools. His shirt was dusty and his hands were covered with oil, yet he looked focused and calm. A few workers stood near him, waiting for his instructions. "Check the left panel again," Ryan said, tightening a bolt. "If the current isn't stable, the drills might stop mid-shift." Arisa watched silently from a distance. He didn't act like a commander or a leader, but everyone respected him. When someone made a mistake, he didn't shout. He smiled, fixed it, and explained how to do it better. After the others left for lunch, Arisa approached him. "You work hard," she said gently. Ryan looked up and smiled. "Everyone does. Out here, if one person stops, everything slows down." She nodded. "You help them all." "They listen to you," Ryan shrugged. "Maybe because I've been here longer than most. I came a long time ago, my ship broke, so I stayed." Arisa's heart skipped a beat. She already knew this, but hearing it from him made it feel real. "You came here by accident?" He laughed quietly. "Yeah, my ship was damaged in an old rescue mission. Guess my luck ran out after that. But this place needed people who could fix things, so I stayed." He turned to her and smiled again. "I don't even miss the big cities anymore. Here, it's simple. You work, you rest, you help others. That's enough for me." Arisa felt something inside her chest tighten. She wanted to tell him that his act of courage had changed her life, that she had built her entire search around finding him again. But she couldn't, not yet. He didn't even know who she was. "Do you ever think about the people you helped?" she asked softly. Ryan wiped his hands on a cloth. "Sometimes, but I don't keep count. Helping someone isn't something you measure. You just do it." Those words touched her deeply. They sounded so much like the man she had remembered, humble, kind, and selfless. As days passed, Arisa stayed in the colony, pretending to be a traveler from another system. She helped the engineers sort data, and sometimes worked beside Ryan repairing cables or cleaning filters. The humans quickly grew to like her. Her quiet voice and polite manner made her easy to trust. Ryan especially seemed to enjoy her company. He didn't ask too many questions, but he often smiled when she joined him for work. One evening, as the two of them walked back to the camp after fixing a broken pipeline, the sky turned dark orange. The stars began to appear slowly. Ryan stopped for a moment to watch them. "Beautiful, isn't it?" he said. "No matter how many years I spend out here, I never get tired of this view." Arisa looked up too. "Yes," she whispered. "I've watched the stars all my life. But they look different here, calmer." Ryan chuckled softly. "You talk like someone who's seen too many." Arisa smiled beneath her hood. "Maybe I have." There was a short silence. Then Ryan said, "You know, you remind me of someone I once met." "A long time ago," Arisa froze. "Someone you met?" "Yeah," Ryan said quietly. "It was during a mission. I helped someone. A queen, actually." He laughed a little, shaking his head. "Crazy story. I never thought I'd meet an alien queen face to face." Arisa felt her heart beat faster, but she kept her voice calm. "What happened to her?" Ryan looked thoughtful. "I don't know. We never met again. I left before I could even say goodbye properly. But she was kinda brave too. I still remember her eyes. Silver, like moonlight." Arisa turned away slightly so he wouldn't see her expression, her eyes filled with tears she didn't want him to see. "She sounds important to you," she said softly. Ryan smiled faintly. "Maybe. She was the reason I realized something. Out here in the middle of all the fighting and fear, it wasn't power or weapons that mattered. It was just people helping each other. That's what keeps the galaxy alive." Arisa nodded slowly. "You are right." She wished she could tell him that the queen he spoke of stood right beside him, but she wanted him to see her not as a ruler but as a person, just like before. The next few weeks passed peacefully. The colony continued its work, and Ryan often asked Arisa to help with small repairs. She proved surprisingly skilled with tools, and the workers joked that she might be a royal mechanic. Sometimes after work, the two of them sat outside the station, talking quietly. Arisa learned about his simple life, how he fixed machines, helped the sick, taught children about stars, and kept the colony running smoothly. She also shared small stories, careful not to reveal her real world. She told him about a distant planet with 2 suns, describing Valora without naming it. Ryan listened with interest. "Sounds like a dream," he said. "I'd love to see it one day," Arisa smiled. "Maybe you already have," she whispered. One day, a group of traders from a nearby system landed at the colony. They brought supplies, news, and gossip from across the stars. During a meal in the canteen, one of them began to talk about Queen Arisa of Valora. "She's something else," the trader said. "They say she never married. Always working for peace. Still rules fair and strong." Ryan listened quietly, not realizing the queen sat right beside him in disguise. "I remember hearing that name a long time ago," he said. "Didn't she once have some sort of near-death accident?" "Yes," the trader said. "Rumor says a human saved her life during that chaos." "Can you imagine that? A human saving a queen? Must be a story for the ages." Ryan gave a small smile, looking down at his drink. "Yeah, a story for the ages," he repeated softly. Arisa's eyes watched him carefully. He still remembered, but he didn't know she was here. That night the wind blew softly across the rocky plain. The sky shimmered with the light of distant stars. Ryan was sitting outside fixing a broken transmitter when Arisa approached him quietly. "You seem thoughtful," she said. He nodded, just thinking about the past. Arisa sat beside him. "Do you miss your old life?" Ryan shrugged. "Sometimes. But the past is gone. All that matters is what we do now." His calmness amazed her. Most rulers she knew carried the past like a chain. But this man, this human, carried his past as light as air. She wanted to tell him everything, to remove her hood, to show him her silver eyes, to say who she really was. But fear stopped her. What if he changed after knowing she was the queen? What if he treated her differently? She wanted him to see her as Arisa, not as the queen of Valora. So instead, she said quietly, "You have done more good here than most rulers do for their people." Ryan smiled shyly. "I'm no ruler. Just an old pilot who got stuck in the wrong place." Arisa looked at him softly. "Or maybe the right place." That night, after he went inside, Arisa stood under the stars, her hand on her pendant. She had finally found him, the human who once saved her life. And now she was learning what kind of man he truly was. Not a hero in stories, but a simple soul who brought light wherever he went. She looked up at the twin moons of Kara 9 and whispered to herself, "He has forgotten the queen. But not kindness. That is enough for now." Her eyes glowed faintly in the moonlight as she smiled. She knew one day the truth would come out. But not yet. For now, she just wanted to stay close to him, the forgotten hero who still lived with the same heart that once saved her world. The night on the mining colony was calm, but the sky above was full of silent fire. Bright streaks of light crossed the horizon as small ships broke through the atmosphere. The people in the colony thought they were cargo ships or travelers, but Ryan knew better. He had seen this kind of movement before. It was the same way raiders entered a system before they attacked. Ryan stood outside the colony control tower, looking up at the stars. The air smelled of dust and metal. The mining machines rested for the night, their engines cooling under the twin moons. He felt a strange pressure in his chest, like something was coming, and deep inside he was right. Queen Arisa, still in her traveler disguise, watched from the upper deck of the tower. She had learned much about Ryan in the last few days, how he helped everyone without asking for anything, how he fixed broken systems no one else could repair, and how he smiled even when tired. To her, he still looked like the same brave man who had once saved her from certain death. But this time, she had come to save him. That night, Ryan received a signal from one of the outer sensor posts. The small screen in front of him flashed red. Multiple ships entering orbit, it said. His hands tightened on the control panel. He quickly called the colony leaders. "Get everyone inside the main bunker. I think we're about to have trouble." The people began to move quickly, following his orders without question. They trusted him, even though most didn't know who he really was. Ryan had led them through storms, shortages, and engine failures before. This time the challenge was much greater. Queen Arisa stood beside him now, calm but alert. "You have seen battles before," she said softly. Ryan nodded. "Too many," he replied. "But I hoped I wouldn't see another one here." "Then let us end it quickly," she said. Her tone was different, strong and royal. It was in that moment that Ryan realized she was not just an ordinary traveler. There was something powerful about her, something he had only seen once before in his life. Before he could ask, the first explosion shook the ground. A bright fire rose from the far edge of the mining field. The raiders had arrived. The alarm screamed through the colony. People ran to the shelters as the defense drones lifted into the sky. Ryan and Arisa ran to the command deck. He took control of the security systems while she activated a small device on her wrist. In a flash of blue light, her disguise disappeared. Her royal armor shimmered under the emergency lights, and her true form was revealed. Tall, elegant, and radiant, with silver markings that glowed faintly along her arms. The room fell silent. The few workers inside stared in shock. Ryan stepped back, his eyes wide. "You," he whispered. "You're the queen." She turned to him, her expression gentle but serious. "Yes, I am Arisa of Valora, the one whose life you saved long ago." Ryan felt his heart race. The memory returned. Her ship on fire, the chaos, his desperate rescue. He could not believe that the same young woman he once pulled from the wreckage now stood before him as a galactic ruler. "Why are you here?" he asked. "This is a small colony. You shouldn't risk yourself," she smiled slightly. "I came to find you. And now, I will not let harm come to this place while you are in it." Ryan shook his head. "These raiders are dangerous. You need to return to your fleet." But before she could answer, the entire sky outside turned bright. The raider ships descended, sleek black vessels with red engines. They fired plasma bolts that exploded across the mining yards. Ryan's quick thinking took over. "Activate the shield grid," he shouted. "Divert all power from the mining generators to the defense system." The workers obeyed. A faint blue barrier flickered to life around the colony. It wasn't strong enough to hold forever, but it would buy them time. Arisa moved to the window, raising her hand. Her wrist device projected a holographic signal into the air, a call for reinforcements. Ryan stared in awe as the alien symbols glowed in midair. "You really came prepared," he said. She turned to him. "Not enough to face this alone. I will fight beside you, Ryan, just like you once did for me." Outside, the battle began. Drones swarmed against the raiders, firing energy beams into the night sky. Ryan coordinated the ground defenses while Arisa used her advanced weapon systems to disable the enemy ships. Her movements were precise and graceful, every command calm and clear. Ryan admired her strength. She was no longer the frightened girl he once rescued. She was a queen, confident and powerful. Yet even in the middle of chaos, She looked at him with the same warmth she had shown 20 years ago. After several long minutes, the first wave of raiders retreated. The colony's shield flickered weakly and smoke filled the air. Ryan wiped sweat from his forehead and checked the control panels. "Shield's at 10%, he said. "We can't take another hit like that." Before he could continue, the sensors beeped again. Another group of ships was coming, larger than before. Ryan clenched his fists. "We need more power. If we can reroute the mining reactors..." Arisa stopped him. "No, that will destroy the colony." He met her gaze. "Then what do we do?" Her eyes softened. "We do what humans always do," she said. "We stand together." She stepped forward and placed her hand on the console. Her armor emitted a pulse of energy, linking her ship's system with the colony's. A moment later, a massive light filled the sky. From orbit, her royal flagship had arrived. It was the Valora Starfire, a legendary battleship known throughout the galaxy. The raiders froze for a moment as its shadow fell over them. Then a deep voice came over the comms. "This is Commander Vale of the Valora Guard. By order of Queen Arisa, you are commanded to stand down." The raiders hesitated, then turned to flee. The Starfire fired a single warning shot, a beam of white light that passed close to their ships. That was enough. The raiders jumped out of the system, disappearing into the dark. The battle was over. Inside the command deck, everyone cheered. The people of the colony hugged each other, tears of relief on their faces. Ryan leaned against the console, exhausted but smiling. Arisa walked up to him, her armor fading back into her traveler form. "You saved them," she said softly. He laughed quietly. "No, I think you saved us," she shook her head. "Without your courage, there would be nothing left to save." There was a pause. The room was filled with the hum of machines and the faint crackle of broken lights. For a moment it felt like the stars outside had gone still. Ryan looked at her, really seeing her for the first time. "You became everything they said you would," he said. "A queen who fights for her people." Arisa looked down, her expression calm but full of emotion. "And you became what I hoped you would," she whispered. "A man who never stopped caring." The two of them stood in silence as the Starfire's lights shone through the windows. Around them, life began to return to the colony. Workers repaired systems, children ran out of shelters, and laughter filled the dusty air once more. When dawn came, the golden light of the sun touched the surface of the colony. Ryan and Arisa stood outside watching the new day rise. "You could return to your world now," she said gently. "Your people must miss you." He smiled faintly. "Maybe, but Earth feels very far away now." She nodded slowly. "Then stay a little longer," she said. "At least until I tell you why I truly came here." Ryan looked at her, curious but silent. The Queen's eyes shone in the sunlight. "I did not come here as a ruler, Ryan. I came as someone who owed you her life and her heart." Before he could reply, her royal ship descended in the background, its engines humming softly like a song from the stars. Ryan stood quietly, realizing that his life was about to change again, just as it had 20 years ago, the day he met her for the first time, and above them, the galaxy seemed to shimmer with a new kind of light. The morning after the battle, the mining colony was quiet again. The sun rose slowly, touching the metal towers with a warm golden glow. Smoke still floated in the air, but people were already rebuilding. The miners repaired broken machines, children laughed as they played in the dust, and everyone looked at the sky with hope. For the first time in years, they had seen something greater than fear. They had seen unity between two different worlds. A human and an alien queen had stood together to defend them, and that moment would stay in their memories forever. Ryan walked through the colony, helping wherever he could. He fixed power lines, carried parts, and checked damaged drones. But inside his heart, something felt different. Every time he looked up at the large ship floating above the clouds, he felt both proud and unsure. He knew the truth now. The traveler who had quietly asked him for help was not just anyone. She was Queen Arisa of Valora, ruler of one of the most powerful empires in the galaxy. He had saved her life 20 years ago, but now it seemed she had come back to save his world in return. Ryan finished repairing a communication tower when he saw her walking toward him. She was wearing a simple blue robe now, not her royal armor. Her hair moved gently in the wind, and her silver eyes shone softly under the sun. The workers nearby stopped what they were doing and bowed their heads out of respect. Arisa smiled kindly at them before turning to Ryan. "You never change," she said softly. Still working while everyone else rests. He smiled a little. I could say the same about you, Your Majesty. Arisa, she corrected with a gentle tone. Just call me Arisa like you did before. Ryan nodded, though it still felt strange to say her name that way. All right, Arisa, what brings you here? She looked around the colony, her expression thoughtful. I wanted to thank you again for saving my people, for saving this colony, and for saving me. Twice, Ryan shook his head. You don't owe me anything. I just did what I thought was right. She smiled sadly. You always say that, but you never realize how much your choices change the universe. They walked together toward a small hill near the colony, where they could see the entire landscape. The wind blew softly, carrying the scent of sand and metal. In the distance, the great Valora starfire ship floated like a silver mountain in the sky. For a while, they stood in silence, watching workers and children below. Arisa finally spoke again. When you saved me 20 years ago, I was only a young leader, afraid and unsure of myself. My people expected me to be strong, but I was lost. Then you came, a human with no reason to help me, no promise of reward, and you risked everything for someone you barely knew. That moment changed me. Ryan listened quietly. I returned to my world and became a better ruler, she continued. I made peace with our neighbors, protected the weak, and brought fairness to my empire. But through it all, I never forgot your face or the way you said every life matters. Those words stayed with me. Ryan looked down at the ground. That was a long time ago. I didn't think anyone remembered. She turned toward him, her eyes full of warmth. I remembered every day. I searched the stars for you. My advisors thought I was foolish. They said humans were short-lived and simple, but I told them they were wrong. Because one human's heart can shine brighter than 1,000 suns. Ryan's throat tightened, but he said nothing. Arisa stepped closer. When I found your name on the old star records, I came here myself. I wanted to see if you were still the same. And you were. Still kind, still brave, still human. He gave a small smile. Maybe I just never learned how to change. She laughed softly, a sound that carried gently on the wind. That's what makes you special. They stood quietly again. The morning light touched the horizon, painting the sky in shades of gold and silver. The colony below looked peaceful, like a small jewel in the vast universe. Then Arisa said something unexpected. Ryan, I want you to come with me. He turned quickly. Come with you, where? To Valora, she said. To my world. You once saved my life and my future. Now I want to give you a new one. My people would welcome you as an honored guest. You could live among us, share your knowledge, and help guide our new alliance with Earth. Ryan stared at her, surprised. An alliance with Earth? Yes, she said proudly. Your bravery has shown my empire that humanity deserves respect, not fear. I want to begin a friendship between our worlds, and I want you to be the bridge. Ryan looked out at the colony again. It's a big offer, Arisa. I'm just an engineer now. A simple man. I don't belong in royal palaces or among leaders. She smiled gently. You belong wherever you choose to be. You belong where your heart is. He looked into her eyes and saw something he hadn't noticed before. Not the strength of a queen, but the kindness of a friend who had waited for years. After a long silence, he said softly, You really came all this way for me? Arisa nodded. I did. Because even after all these years, I wanted to see the man who taught me what courage truly means. Ryan took a deep breath. He didn't know what to say. He thought of the lonely nights he had spent fixing broken machines, dreaming of the stars. Maybe it was time to see them again. Finally, he smiled. All right, Arisa, I'll go with you. But only if you promise one thing. She tilted her head curiously. What is it? Promise that we go as equals. Not queen and subject, not ruler and hero. Just two friends who once saved each other. Her eyes softened. I promise, she said. They stood together on the hill as the starfire slowly descended to the surface. The colony workers gathered below, watching in awe as the great royal ship opened its gates. A soft breeze moved through the air as dust rose around them. Ryan turned to look at the people he had lived among for so long. They waved and cheered for him, proud that one of their own was leaving to stand among the stars. He waved back with a smile, his heart full of both sadness and hope. As he and Arisa walked toward the ship, she looked at him quietly. Do you know what the stars taught me, Ryan? She asked. He shook his head. What? That light travels for millions of years, she said softly. Even when a star dies, its light keeps shining. You are that kind of light to me. You saved me once, and that light never faded. Ryan stopped walking for a moment, moved by her words. He looked up at the endless sky. Then maybe it's time that light found a new home, he said. Arisa smiled warmly. And maybe it already has. They stepped inside the Starfire together. The ship's doors closed behind them with a soft sound, and the engines came to life. Slowly, the great vessel lifted off the ground, leaving the small mining world behind. From the control window, Ryan watched as the planet grew smaller and smaller. He felt peace for the first time in years. Arisa stood beside him, her presence calm and gentle. When I first met you, she said quietly, you were a stranger who risked everything for me. Now you are someone I can never forget. Ryan turned to her and smiled. And when I first met you, you were someone who showed me that even in the farthest parts of the galaxy, kindness still matters. Their eyes met for a moment. No words needed. No titles between them, only understanding. As the Starfire moved through the stars, a soft voice echoed through the ship's halls, recording the moment for history. This is the story of a human who once saved an alien queen's life, and of a queen who crossed the galaxy to find him again. A story of friendship, courage, and light that never fades. The ship vanished into the starfield, leaving behind a trail of silver light that glowed gently across the darkness. And somewhere, in the endless silence of space, the bond between a human and a queen became eternal, a symbol of hope that would live in both their worlds for generations to come.